Howdy folks, hope you've all had a great weekend and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. All kinds of things to talk about this week, some of it not so good. But first, today's video, proudly sponsored by Manscaped. You can get the Manscaped 4.0 Performer Package today with 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com/themightyjingles, plus 2 free gifts when you use the promo code JINGLES at checkout. The package includes the Lawnmower 4.0 Body Trimmer, which can be used on body hair anywhere on your body, the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, the Crop Preserver Post-Shower Deodorant for your family jewels, and last but by no means least, the Crop Preserver with you can't eat it. Well, you probably could, it's not toxic, but you probably shouldn't either, so never work with children or animals. Let's try that one again. And last but not least, the Crop Reviver, to quickly spray on and refresh the areas that need it the most. The Lawnmower is a cordless, rechargeable and waterproof trimmer, which means you can actually use it in the shower and say goodbye to all that mess on the bathroom floor. And because it has ceramic blades, you can actually use it with confidence in the more delicate of areas. And remember kids, always dispose of the leftovers responsibly. Out of all of the products in this kit, I think the Crop Reviver spray is probably the one that I like the most. It's one of those things that I didn't actually know that I needed until I tried it. You spray it on and wave goodbye to sweaty balls, and honestly, it feels way better than it probably has any legal right to. And did we mention that if you use code JINGLES at checkout, you get 2 free gifts, including the Manscaped Chafing Protection Boxer Briefs, available in a size of your choosing, obviously. And they really are very comfortable. Oh, and nobody saw that, right? And the other free gift is the Shed, the Manscaped leather travel bag. Waterproof, very durable. All of this can be yours at 20% off with free international shipping if you head over to manscaped.com/themightyjingles and use code JINGLES at checkout. Or just click the link in the video description. I do have to say though, those boxer shorts are very comfortable. I mean, I'm probably like a lot of you. I just don't really care about my underwear. I go to the supermarket and I buy a pack of cotton boxers every couple of months. Because, you know, I'm a man. I don't really care about underwear. But those things are incredibly comfortable. Anyway, moving on swiftly. So I said that there was all kinds of things to talk about this week, and some of it wasn't good. YouTube are up to their old tricks again. First, a bit of context. Let's talk about adverts on YouTube, not sponsorships like the Manscaped thing. The ads that YouTube runs on videos. Like a pre-roll ad before the video, maybe a post-roll ad at the end of the video, and then, of course, those mid-roll ads. Now, regular viewers will remember that I have promised that I will never turn mid-roll ads on. Now, don't worry before you all start to panic. I meant it when I said it, and I still mean it today. Because, in my experience, there's nothing that turns you off watching a video on YouTube more than having an ad break run every 2 minutes. And that, in fact, is one of the things that forced me to unsubscribe from certain YouTube channels that I've been following religiously for years, because you couldn't watch a 10-minute long video without 4 ad breaks. And I firmly believe that that is the right decision to not run those mid-roll ads for the long-term health of a YouTube channel. And hopefully the fact that you can watch one of my videos uninterrupted, even something like an Aliens Dark Descent video, which generally runs anything from 40 to 50 minutes or more with no ad breaks, and the fact that you can sit and watch my videos uninterrupted without having to suffer through a whole bunch of ads, I do believe is one of the things that encourages people to come back, because you know that you can just fire up a Jingles video. There might be an ad at the beginning, there might be an ad at the end, but there will not be any ads in the middle, so you can watch everything uninterrupted. Funny old thing, I don't know if you remember when the frequency of adverts on YouTube videos quadrupled overnight, and I'm sure this was entirely unrelated and the two things aren't connected at all, but it happened at exactly the same time that YouTube suddenly started pushing the YouTube Premium service, you know, ad-free videos on YouTube. It's almost as if they were manufacturing a problem in order to be able to sell you the solution. But anyway, moving on. About 6 months ago, I got contacted by my YouTube partner manager. I didn't even know I had a YouTube partner manager. They were suspiciously absent any time I had anything that I needed to get in touch with YouTube about, because YouTube have perfected the art of not letting you speak to an actual person at any point, regardless of the problem that you might be having on the platform. And yet suddenly, I had a YouTube partner manager who was desperate to arrange a call and an appointment to talk about things. It will probably surprise nobody to hear that what they wanted to talk to me about was additional ways of monetizing the channel. Now, they presented this as if it was for my benefit, but, well, if I'm being completely fair, I mean, it wasn't entirely for YouTube's benefit. I mean, YouTube have never been interested in the amount of money that I make, but they preferred if I was making more money so that they can take a bigger slice of the profits from the advertising revenue. And surprise, surprise, the number one thing that they wanted me to address was the lack of mid-roll ads on my videos. And they presented me with all kinds of facts and figures, you know, the sort of thing. You could be making 3 times as much money on YouTube, without mentioning that they would also be making 3 times as much money from me if I would just enable an ad every 5 minutes on my videos. And they're right. They're absolutely right. In the short term. But how many of you would stop coming back here every day if you were going to have to watch an advert every 5 minutes? Can you imagine the amount of ads you would have to sit through on an Aliens Dark Descent video that lasts 50 minutes? Yeah. And they're right. In the short term, the amount of money that would be coming in from the adverts that would be running through all of my videos would probably triple overnight. But in the long term, more and more of you would be getting pissed off with all the ads, and those of you who don't already run ad blockers would start running ad blockers, or you'd just unsubscribe from the channel and not bother coming back. So it would be long-term suicide for this YouTube channel if I was to start turning mid-roll ads on. And of course YouTube doesn't care, because there's always going to be other YouTube channels that they can persuade to turn mid-roll ads on, slowly kill the channel off, and make a quick buck for YouTube in the process. Plus, I promised you I wouldn't do it. And I mean to keep that promise. All of which brings us to this week and the email that I received from YouTube promising all kinds of exciting new opportunities for me, because it's all for me, to increase my earnings on the platform. You already know what's coming, don't you? Oh, YouTube. Let me just read you the email. Hi, the mighty Jingles. Later this year, we'll be updating ad controls in the YouTube studio to extend best practices and optimize creator earnings, simplifying pre-roll, post-roll, skippable and non-skippable ad controls on long-form videos, which basically means anything more than 15 minutes long. Starting in November, we're optimizing creator revenue and taking the guesswork out of which ad formats to use. Oh, this sounds good. By removing individual ad controls for pre-roll, post-roll, skippable and non-skippable ads on newly uploaded videos. Going forward, when creators turn ads on, viewers may see any of these ad formats. As we currently do today, YouTube will utilize many factors to determine when viewers will see these types of ads to blah-de-blah, blah-de-blah, maximize revenue, diddly-do, ensure a positive viewing experience, blah-blah-blah. Factors include the amount of time viewers are exposed to ads and the number of times an ad interrupts the video they're watching. So, for those of you struggling to understand exactly what that means, don't worry, I speak fluent bullshit, allow me to translate. YouTube are going to start turning, whether I want them to or not, and I don't, but they're removing the choice from the equation. YouTube are going to start turning on unskippable mid-roll ads on my videos. And they're all doing it to maximize creator earnings and ensure a positive viewing experience. Oh, hang on, sorry, the bullshit filter slipped there. They're doing it because screw your YouTube channel. We're not making enough money out of you, so we are going to pillage your channel, extract every last cent out of it, and then bury the rotting corpse in order to make space for the next fresh crop of suckers. So what does this mean? Well, in the short term, I and every other YouTube creator who doesn't enable mid-roll ads will see an upsurge in profits. More people watching more adverts. Very quickly, however, all of those people suddenly being exposed to 4 times the number of adverts that they were used to are either going to start using ad blockers, or they're going to buy YouTube Premium, or they're just going to unsubscribe from the channel altogether. Only one of those things is good for me, right? And that's if everybody suddenly starts using YouTube Premium. And that's exactly what YouTube and I would prefer, but everybody is not going to suddenly start buying YouTube Premium subscriptions, because that's just YouTube manufacturing a problem in order to sell you a solution, and people hate being manipulated. And also, YouTube Premium isn't free. It's a subscription-based service that you pay Google for in order to watch YouTube videos without having to watch adverts along with them. And you know what is free and allows you to watch YouTube videos without watching the adverts that run along with them? An ad blocker. So naturally, more people are going to start using ad blockers. And I absolutely 100% wouldn't blame anybody, given the current state of YouTube, wouldn't blame anybody who is taking advantage of an ad blocker in order to watch YouTube videos. Because what's the alternative? 4 ad breaks in a 10-minute video? Well, yeah, that is the alternative. And nobody wants that. So, YouTube, determined to run this and every other channel like mine into the ground in pursuit of short-term profits. This is why I have to take sponsorships like the Manscaped sponsorship that ran at the beginning of this episode of Mingles with Jingle, because the advertising revenue on YouTube is in the toilet and YouTube is about to flush. I mean, I've kind of seen this situation coming for quite some time now, because the advertising revenues that you're able to earn from YouTube as a creator on the platform have just been deteriorating year on year for at least the last 7 to 10 years. There's a statistic that I often quote, and it's just as true now as it was the first time I said it, but back in the early days when I had a channel with 200,000 subscribers, you know, not a huge channel, but definitely not a small channel, I didn't have anybody supporting me on Patreon. Thank you, by the way, those who do. I didn't have anybody who subscribed to me on Floatplane. Again, thank you to those who do. I didn't take any sponsorships. I was supported purely by the advertising revenue from the adverts that ran before and after my videos. And with that alone, and only 200,000 subscribers, I was earning more than from the same sources today with 650,000 subscribers. That, in real terms, is a 60% pay cut over the last 10 years. And the only reason I'm able to continue doing this and pay my mortgage and put food in my belly and, you know, care for my cats is because of Patreon, Floatplane, and sponsorships. Because YouTube alone, it's just not viable. Not anymore. And it's going to get worse. So my profound thank you to everybody who subsidizes this YouTube channel by supporting me on Patreon, taking out a Floatplane subscription, and I realise that that's not a small thing, given, you know, the economy of the world today. So, massive thanks to everybody who does that. And massive thanks to everybody, even if they don't directly support the channel. And even if you don't give a shit. And why should you? I mean, this is a me problem. It's not a you problem. But even if the only thing that you do is come back and watch videos every day. And it's absolutely 100% on me to put videos up that you're going to want to come back and watch every day. But if that's the only thing that you do, it's not a small thing. If you just watch the videos, if you hit the like button, subscribe, get involved in the comments, if that's all that you do, it's still a massive help, because that kind of engagement rate, that's what attracts the sponsors. And happy sponsors keep coming back with new sponsorship offers, and I get to pay my mortgage. So, yeah. I mean, I know you probably hear this from every YouTube creator, although I kind of prided myself by not being one of those YouTube creators who says, don't forget to like and subscribe in every video. But the reason they keep saying it is because it does make a massive difference. Even if that's all you do, it doesn't cost you anything. You're not donating on Patreon. You're not taking out a Floatplane subscription to watch videos there instead of on YouTube. You're not buying a subscription to YouTube Premium. And why should you have to do any of that? I mean, times are tough for everybody. But the simple act of 1, just watching the videos, 2, maybe subscribing, 3, hitting the like button, 4, getting involved in the comments, doesn't cost anything, and it's a massive help as well. And it's not just me, by the way. If there are other YouTube creators whose content you enjoy and you haven't liked and subscribed, give them a like. Let them know that you appreciate what they do. because it really does help the channel out and it costs you absolutely nothing. And I'm just as bad at this as everybody else, by the way. I mean, I'll be there in bed at night before I fall asleep, scrolling through YouTube video after YouTube video on my phone, and I rarely remember to hit the like button after I've watched a video that I enjoy. Because I'm crap. But I'm making an effort to get better. Anyway, moving on swiftly. So, Starfield, it's out. I mean, it's been out for a while, but you had to pre-order in order to... I don't even know what they call it. Open beta? Closed beta? Early access? Whatever. Honestly, these days, those terms are meaningless. They're just marketing phrases now. But anyway, it is now out for people who didn't pre-order. And I know I keep banging on about pre-ordering games and encouraging you not to do it. At least wait until the day one reviews are out so you know you're not buying a buggy, broken, unfinished mess. And that's a good reason to not pre-order. For your own immediate benefit, it ensures that you're not buying a pile of shit. But there's a better reason to not pre-order, a more long-term reason to avoid pre-ordering. Let me put it to you this way. Imagine that you are, I don't know, let's just say, for the sake of example, Bethesda Game Studios. And you've just spent, and I'm pulling a figure out of my arse here, but it's probably not that far wide of the mark. Let's just say you've spent $200 million developing your latest title, and the release date's coming up. You need that title to be a success, right? You need good sales, because you're $200 million out of pocket, and if it doesn't at least recover that money, you're in the shit. And the last title you pushed out, which wasn't cheap either, was Fallout 76. Yeah, that one's never going to get old. But, it doesn't have to be Bethesda. You could be BioWare, and the last title you pushed out was Anthem, or Mass Effect Andromeda. You get the idea. It could be any one of the big publishers or developers. So it needs to be a success. And in order to be a success, it has to have sales. Now, without doing pre-orders, that means you are 100% at the mercy of the early reviews. And if those reviews are bad because your game sucks, you are going to be so incredibly screwed. So the pressure is on to, at the very least, try to ensure that when the game is released, it isn't completely terrible. It doesn't have to be fantastic. If it can be fantastic, so much the better. But it has to at least be good enough that people who buy the game on release can say, well, yeah, it's not great. There are some issues, but it definitely has potential. And with a couple of patches, this could be very good. On the other hand, if you open it up to pre-orders, you now have guaranteed day one sales, regardless of how good or bad the game actually is. And again, going with the example, let's say it costs you $200 million to produce, and you get 5 million pre-orders because in the 6 months prior to the release date, the hype train went into overdrive. You were very, very careful to only show the stuff that worked in the best possible light, and anything that didn't work and probably wasn't going to work in time for release, you only showed in very, very carefully scripted video sequences. You fooled everybody into thinking that you actually had a good game. And so on release, you've not only recovered your costs, you're already $150 million into profit. Your shareholders are happy. Everybody gets a nice big fat bonus. The game sucks, of course. It's a broken, buggy, unfinished mess. Because of all those pre-orders, you had no incentive to try to ensure that it was at least vaguely playable on release, because you're already $150 million into profit. So all of you guys who keep pre-ordering games, you're not only seeing yourself off by not waiting for that day one review, and potentially end up being in a similar situation to anybody who pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation 4, but you're also actively encouraging and incentivizing the publishers to stop giving a shit about how good the game is on release. Because it doesn't matter how good it is on release if they're already $150 million into profit. So, stop pre-ordering. Thankfully, Starfield... I did a Starfield video last week, and it was called It Just Works. And Starfield does just work. but with a couple of disclaimers. Now that I've spent more than just a couple of hours in it, and bear in mind that the Starfield video last week was literally the day one experience. It was by no means a review. However, I am very much enjoying it. But for those of you who were thinking or hoping that maybe Starfield was going to be the next Elite Dangerous, or, well, I don't want to say the next Star Citizen because there hasn't been a first Star Citizen yet, but you get the idea. It isn't. It is superficially similar, but it's a very, very different kind of game. Because what Starfield is, and this could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing depending on your perspective, but what Starfield is Fallout 4 in space with some surveying and exploring mechanics borrowed from Elite Dangerous. And that's it. That's all it is. Now, if you were a fan of Fallout 4, this is really, really good news. And I was a fan of Fallout 4. In fact, I still am. I still have it installed. I still play it. But Starfield is no more and no less than exactly that. It's a sort of souped up, modified, much, much prettier version of Fallout 4, but with spaceships. And that's all it is. And that's enough for me, because I loved Fallout 4. I never went into this game expecting it to be more than it is. And I'm quite happy with that. And for those of you who really enjoyed Fallout 4 and Skyrim, you're going to really enjoy Starfield. Those of you who were not fans of Skyrim or Fallout 4, probably not going to have a lot of fun in Starfield, because it's not Star Citizen. It's not Elite. It is very much just Fallout 4 or Skyrim for that matter with a fresh coat of paint. And that's more than enough for me, and it's probably going to be more than enough for a lot of other people as well. However, you have to bear in mind, because this is just Fallout 4 in space, it comes with all of the good things about Fallout 4. A huge immersive world, or, well, not a full galaxy, but a bunch of curated star systems at least. All kinds of things to do. You can get lost for days, weeks and months playing this game and keep running into new things to see. But it also comes with all of the bad things about Fallout 4 and Skyrim as well. Inventory management is a fucking nightmare, just like it was in every other Bethesda game prior to this. If you loot more than a rifle, a sidearm, a helmet and a packet of Alka-Seltzer from whoever it is that you've just killed, you will be over-encumbered, you will not be able to fast travel anywhere, and you will literally have to stop for breath and wait for your oxygen meter to refill after travelling 100 meters. I'm not making this up. I may have exaggerated slightly in the amount of stuff that you're able to carry before you become encumbered, but it's not a lot. Not without spending skill points and research into improving it. And that extends to the amount of cargo that your ship can carry as well. Now, you would imagine that a ship would be able to carry more cargo than your pockets. But you'd be wrong. I have had situations, and I'm not making this up, where I couldn't even empty the contents of my pockets into the ship's cargo hold without filling up the cargo hold. Again, this is something that you can improve through research and the expenditure of vast amounts of credits in improving the cargo capacity of your ship. But it's pretty bad early game. Right, all of those encumbrance and inventory issues that you suffered through in Skyrim and Fallout 4, they're here in Starfield as well. And there's other things that you suffered through in both Skyrim and Fallout 4 that are also present in Starfield. The companion AI is fucking dog shit. I mean, it is embarrassingly bad. I think, based on how your companions perform, because they are constantly getting in your way, I would not be at all surprised if they haven't actually improved the companion AI since Skyrim, because they're just as bad as the Skyrim companions. And it's not just your own companions as well. I've had missions where, for example, there's this one mission where you've got a bunch of, you know what, I'm not even going to bother to explain what they are. You've got a bunch of non-player characters that you have to defend against pirates. And they're all involved in this close quarters firefight with the pirates. And you've got to go into that room and help them kill the pirates. And I just knew what was going to happen. Because they're idiots. They will run in front of your gun barrel and end up getting themselves killed. And so, knowing this was going to happen from previous bitter experience, I deliberately distanced myself, and I couldn't even get that far away from them because the room wasn't that big. But I got as far away from the people I was supposed to be defending, tucked myself into the opposite corner of the room, and prayed that one of them wasn't going to run in front of my gun barrel in order to actually give them support fire against the pirates they were fighting. Knowing that if they did, I would not only probably end up failing the mission by accidentally killing one of them, but they would probably all turn on me as well. The companion AI in Starfield, and the AI in general, I mean, the enemies are not that smart. Often they'll duck down into cover, but expose their head or their arse, and you can just sit there shooting their head or their arse until they die, and they won't move. Yeah. I don't know what Bethesda spent that 200 million on, but it definitely was not the character AI. But I am still enjoying it, because, I mean, I liked Fallout 4, and so, I mean, this is the same. It's just in space. And that's probably going to be more than enough for most people. It's more than enough for me. But this, of course, is why you don't pre-order. You wait for the reviews. You watch the videos on YouTube. Because anybody going into this who pre-ordered and thought they were getting Star Citizen or Elite is going to be very, very disappointed. But I didn't pre-order. I did wait for the reviews. And so I knew exactly what I was getting. And I'm a very happy bunny. And now I'm going to finish this episode of Mingles with Jingles so I can go back to playing Starfield because I'm having a great time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it's given you something to think about and maybe talk about in the comments. And maybe hit that like button. And maybe subscribe if you haven't. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.